All right. I got to be honest. I'm done standing. I understand standing is cool and you can get a lot of passion out, but it's time to sit down and talk about this next team. There was a 3-game road trip that involves teams that start with the letter C. We started in Charlotte, and it's actually kind of spelled Charlotte. And then we went to Chicago, and it's kind of spelled Chicago, which I guess that makes sense. Actually, they probably pronounce it right. And now we're going to our last C team with 2 C's in their name, the Cleveland Cavaliers. Oh, wait. It's the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're a team that was on my radar last year, especially when Brooklyn made that trade to get James Harden to their team. They played the Cleveland Cavaliers probably that next game, and Colin Sexton blew them out of the water. That being said, Colin was on my fantasy team last year, and there was a lot of speculation in this offseason as to if he would get traded for Ben Simmons or not. I don't think that's a net positive move for the Cleveland Cavaliers, as they seem to be building a foundation of their own. A team that was speculated about last year for all of the talent that they have is now on the come-up. They traded away some talent this offseason, but it seems like they're going to rebuild even more in the next few years. And their new rookie, Evan Mobley, is poised to be the next fake Kevin Durant. Shouts out to player comparisons. They never work. The Cleveland Cavaliers. Fucking boat. Their coach, JB Bickerstaff, a seasoned assistant coach in this league, is well known for being a good coach and being a great player coach. And he had a tough locker room last year, to say the least. With unsure status of Kevin Love, the injured Larry Nance, and the plethora of different issues that were going on behind the scenes, it seems like JB Bickerstaff did a good job at keeping the team afloat. And he obviously has the blessing of the front office as he continues to work towards building the team next year. Obviously, he had his coaching stints in Memphis and Houston before this, and he keeps getting hired, which says that he has enough talent to be an NBA-level coach. But is he a rebuilding coach is the question. Like many tank commanders in history, he's been tasked to lead a team that is otherwise hopeless. It seems as though that's been JB Bickerstaff's role, as he would deal with rebuilding teams or teams in weird spots. And he seems to be effective at it. It seems like the players really buy into him, at least. Maybe not a system, maybe not being really good at basketball, but they buy into developing under him. And that's probably what the Cleveland Cavaliers need. This team is now in a rebuilding stage after LeBron James wanted to brand himself better in the state of California for the Los Angeles Lakers. And now what's left is the smolders of a great championship team that once reigned in the NBA. Now, before I go any further, I should backtrack. If you're trying to learn about the Cleveland Cavaliers history, I'm not your man to do it. JB Bickerstaff, I'm doing this in a coaching segment, but who cares? Go onto the SB Nation's subsidiary Secret Base and watch the Cleveland Cavaliers series about their entire history. You'll come to understand why teams that are in small markets are the way that they are, because the people operating them are buying it at buy low opportunities and just trying to do whatever they can for it. And then they luck out with getting LeBron James in their history. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. It's like a crazy story that you know has a happy ending, but you still want to just be there for the ride. That being said, JB Bickerstaff is a tank commander at the moment. I mean, the team isn't really tanking too hard at the moment. I think they're on the come up in terms of it. And then they make moves where they're net positive players like Larry Nance Jr., whose father was a household name in Cleveland Cavaliers history. They just decide to trade away that talent for Derrick Jones Jr. I mean, look, if you're trying to play above the rim and get cool dunks, sure, that's a great move. But Larry Nance was actually a really good player. But they got some more draft pieces out of it, so I think that move was the clear indicator as to where they're going this year. And now that they have their rookie, Evan Mobley, it seems that it's going to be JB Bickerstaff's task to ensure his development as a player. It's weird, because the Cleveland Cavaliers aren't in a true sort of rebuilding type state. It seems like they're just in a project type state. And it's sort of similar to the Charlotte Hornets, where even though the Charlotte Hornets are better, they have a whole bunch of players on their team that they need to develop, that they need to make sure are making the right plays. And it seems like they're acquiring players that are like that as well for the Cleveland Cavaliers. It seems like the players that they got this summer are big players. And not big in terms of their play, but big in terms of their size. They got Laurie Markhannon, Evan Mobley, and Taco Fall. Like, you really can't get much taller than that. And you got 3 players like that with completely different skill sets. But hey, teams in their NBA histories have been in worse spots than this. Like, it's really weird because it seems like they have a few good players on their team. And like when you see the name Kevin Love on the roster, you assume that team's going to be good if you've ever been an NBA fan. But since of his unsure playing status and sort of like the weird play that this team has where they're just spamming their guards to shoot the ball, we're going to have to see what happens in the future. It's funny to think about these days how the NBA operates in terms of veteran leadership on a team. Like many other teams that are in rebuilding and tanking modes, acquire talent that are older and more seasoned and are named Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio has somehow found his way to every single team in the modern NBA that eventually has a guard that develops into something really good. He played with Donovan Mitchell on Utah. He played with Devin Booker on the Suns. He played with D'Angelo Russell while he was in Minnesota. And now he's landed himself in Cleveland. It's up to JB Bickerstaff to pair up these guards with a player like Ricky Rubio, a seasoned NBA vet, in order to learn from him, especially Colin Sexton. Even though Colin Sexton has been developing pretty much into a shooting guard, he still needs to get a better touch for passing the ball in today's NBA. So the offense kind of goes like this. Guard catches ball at top of key or behind the three-point line. Guard swings, looks around, doesn't find anybody, tries to drive. Play ends in kind of anything that happens. It's an offense with no inspiration to it. And that's good if you're tanking, but will JB Bickerstaff be implementing a little bit stronger of a playbook this year to ensure that these players are managed correctly? Because if the Cleveland Cavaliers are trying to go into the next chapter of their existence, I think that chapter is trying to make it back to the playoffs at least. And I don't really know if this team is capable of doing it. And my hope is that this next season that JB Bickerstaff takes those talents that are most poised to be good on this team and pushes them to the front of the lineups, because they deserve to lead this team to at least a little bit better of a year next year. I mean, I don't really think that's possible. Aside from the big Evan Mobley, they locked up Jared Allen to like $100 million contract, a pretty big overpay in my current opinion. But from the flashes that we've seen of him in the past, it seems like it'll probably work out for them one way or another. He's a player that plays absolutely harder than everybody on the team. And the fact that they locked him up shows that obviously they believe in this player. You can't really talk about a rebuilding team's coaching staff. As much as I'm trying to work my way towards talking about JB Bickerstaff, he just seems like he's there to control the team. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. There's only so many people on this planet that can do that, but it's hard to talk about this team's coaching staff when they're just trying to develop their players. I mean, JB Bickerstaff is just there at the end of the day. Players to watch. Okay, well, my first player to watch is Colin Sexton. And I'm only mentioning Colin Sexton first because that's the player I guess I know most about. Last season, I had him on my fantasy team, so it made me want to keep track of him. Shouts out to NBA Fantasy. It's probably the most stress and anxiety-inducing thing on this planet, but it's the most worth it experience ever. You football plebes only doing it once a week? Well, guess what? I'm doing it every single night for like months on end. My hair is falling out. I'm just worried constantly. But yeah, I had Colin Sexton on the team, and he proved to be a gem. He was injured for parts of the season, but he's a fun player to watch. This next season, Colin Sexton has to step up in a big way to prove that he's the leader of this team. And I think that he's the player to watch because he is the only real player to watch. I mean, the rest of the players on the team are projects or proven players like Jared Allen, and I just really hope that Colin Sexton, despite proving that he can play in this league, develops even further, that he develops a consistent flow to his offense, that he plays a little bit more defense, that the exciting, flashy moments continue to come, but are more poised in a way. Like, he tore up the Nets a few times last year, but that's like 2 of their 20 wins that they had last season. And they're in the East. They should be winning more games. That just goes to show you how bad this team is and how maybe bad Colin Sexton is. But he has to keep working on his game, and hopefully he is this summer. I mean, I haven't been keeping up on the Cleveland Cavaliers rumor mill in terms of Colin Sexton's improvement, but I think that he will go into this next season hopefully ready to lead this team to a playoff push, a play-in push. I have no idea. But my next player to watch is Laurie Markhannon. Laurie Markhannon is a unique player, a player that forced his way out of Chicago after the situation didn't look that favorable for him. And he's a good player in my eyes. I mean, he can't defend or rebound for his life, as the memes would say. But I really do like the way that he plays, and I think I like the way that he's going to fit into this team. What I think Laurie Markhannon brings to this team is this certain level of security that the other players do not have. This is a player that really does actually go out there and score 15 pretty much every single night. He's proven himself in leagues around the world, including the NBA, and any team would like to have a Laurie Markhannon on their team, despite the fact that he doesn't play defense and doesn't rebound. He is a good player. Do I think that he's going to make this team extremely better? No. But I think he is, besides Evan Mobley, the most positive acquisition that they made in this offseason. Maybe it'll work out in a way like how they wanted Kevin Love to be. But shout out to Kevin Love for finessing the bag and just sort of sitting there all the time. It's my gut feeling that Laurie Markhannon is going to have a pretty good season this year. And I hope that I'm right, because this team desperately needs a proven sort of talent to push them into their next phase. And oddly, an acquisition like Laurie Markhannon shows that maybe your team isn't tanking as hard as you'd think. And my last player to watch for this season would be Isaac Okoro, because I think that he has the capability of breaking out this year, and I really hope he does. A proven, amazing perimeter defender, like seriously one of the best perimeter defenders in this league right now. But the scoring touch has not come to him as easily. Judging off last season, he probably went into this offseason looking to gain more offensive abilities, especially because at some points last year, and I think that this could be said about a lot of the players on their team, Okoro turned out to be an offensive liability. So I guess the hope is that a player like Isaac Okoro comes into this next year really developed, and over the next few years proves himself as a valuable asset for this team. And that brings me to my predictions. They won 22 games last year. JB Bickerstaff is still their coach. There's not a lot to say for this team as a whole. You're just hoping that these talents that seem like raw gems turn out to be diamonds. So if I had to place a number on this team to say the amount of games that they're going to win, I am going to say 29. Give them 7 more wins. 7 more wins. I guess that's cool.